It's one of history's great ironies, isn't it? How a literal mountain of silver, a prize beyond the wildest dreams of any king, could bankrupt a global empire. In the 16th century, Spain discovered wealth on a scale the world had never known. But this flood of treasure, it wouldn't be the foundation of their future. Instead, it would become a poison, coursing through the veins of their economy and leaving a hollowed-out kingdom in its wake.
Welcome to Insight History HD. Together, we will peel back the layers of narratives long locked away in the archives of history. So let's begin with this gilded paradox. The story of Imperial Spain is really the story of a treasure that became a curse. When the Spanish uncovered the vast silver mines of the Americas, like the legendary Potosi, it should have guaranteed their dominance for centuries. But something went profoundly wrong. To understand how, we have to follow the money, or in this case, follow the silver.
The sheer volume is almost impossible to wrap your head around. 16,000 tons of silver. This wasn't just a boost to the treasury, it was a monetary shockwave that would ripple out from the port of Seville and fundamentally change the world. And its epicenter, the place it hit first and hardest, was Spain itself. Now, the first sign that something was amiss was a kind of economic sickness. As all this silver poured in, the kingdom, bizarrely, started getting poorer. Today, we have the language to diagnose what was happening. It was a deadly combination of something called the price revolution and a phenomenon now known as the Dutch disease. So, what was the price revolution? Well, it's actually quite simple. When you suddenly have a whole lot more of something, its value goes down. With so much silver flooding the market, the value of the silver itself just plummeted. You had far more money chasing the same amount of goods, so prices for everything, bread, wine, cloth, they just shot through the roof. And this chart really tells the tale. This visual from Lessons of the Spanish Empire shows that relentless, painful climb of inflation. The empire was technically the richest in the world, swimming in silver. But for the average person, it meant their money was worth less and less every single year. The second part of the diagnosis is what we call the Dutch disease. It's a modern term, but 16th century Spain is the classic historical example. When a country gets flooded with wealth from one source, in this case silver, it makes its own currency incredibly strong. And while that sounds good, it means all of its other products suddenly become way too expensive for anyone else to buy. This was the devastating result. Spain's own industries, its textile mills, its workshops, they were just hollowed out. I mean, why would you buy expensive Spanish-made cloth when you could import cheaper, better-made fabric from England or the Netherlands using all that American silver? Spain stopped being a nation that created things and started becoming a nation that just bought them. It was becoming a pipeline for wealth, not a source of it. But, Spain's internal problems were only half the story. To really get why the empire was hollowing out, we have to look much, much further east. You see, the silver wasn't just being pushed out of Spain by economic pressures, it was being pulled with an almost magnetic force by a hidden engine on the other side of the planet. For all the treasure that arrived in Seville, very little of it actually stayed there. Sure, it financed Spain's endless wars and paid off its foreign bankers, but a huge portion of it just kept moving. An invisible current was pulling the world's silver eastward, straight toward the commercial heart of the early modern world, Ming China. And here it is. This is the butterfly effect moment. Around 1580, the Ming dynasty made what seemed like a simple internal policy change. It was called the Single Whip Reform, and all it said was that from now on, all taxes, once paid in things like rice or silk, had to be paid in one thing and one thing only: silver. And just like that, a nation of hundreds of millions of people was desperate for it. As the authors of The Now of China and the Global Silver Trade put it, this one decision turned China into a global suction pump for silver. The demand it created was so immense, it would completely reshape international trade. And Spain, well, Spain just happened to be sitting on the world's biggest supply. So now we can actually trace the silver's journey, and in doing so, we can witness the birth of the first truly global economy. This is the story of how a mountain in Bolivia connected to the markets of Beijing, with the Spanish Empire acting as the unwitting and ultimately unlucky middleman. This whole incredible connection was made possible by ships like this one, the Manila Galleon. These were the workhorses of the Pacific.
They undertook one of the most grueling voyages imaginable, sailing from Acapulco all the way to Manila in the Philippines. They were basically floating treasure chests, hauling tons of silver to Asia to trade for silks and spices.
And what's truly amazing is how quickly this all came together. You look at the timeline, and within just a few decades, 3 completely separate events locked into place to create this new global system. You have the supply from Potosi, the new trading hub in Manila, and the massive sudden demand from China. It was a perfect storm.
So why risk this dangerous voyage? Well, the motive becomes crystal clear when you look at the numbers. As laid out in the silver bullet strategy, it was a massive arbitrage opportunity. Because silver was so much scarcer in China, it was worth about twice as much there compared to the Americas. Think about that. You could literally double your fortune just by getting your silver across the Pacific. That's a powerful incentive.
And here's the stunning bottom line. According to research from the Now of China and the global silver trade, almost half, nearly 40% of all the silver mined in the Americas ended up in China. It paid for all the porcelain, tea, and silk that Europe suddenly couldn't get enough of. In the end, Spain wasn't the master of this new global economy. It was just the bank teller.
Looking back, what we're left with are the echoes of an empire built on a foundation of sand. The story of Spain's silver isn't just history. It's one of the most powerful cautionary tales you'll ever hear, with lessons that are just as relevant today. The empire's whole fatal paradox is right here on this balance sheet. On one side, you have unimaginable wealth, but on the other, a total collapse of domestic productivity. The silver could fund the biggest army in Europe, but the debt was so crushing that King Philip II had to declare state bankruptcy 4 separate times. It was an empire rich in money, but desperately poor in real economic health.
And the final cost, the long-term damage, is just staggering. The academic analysis in American Treasure and the Decline of Spain calculates that by the mid-1700s, the average person in Spain was actually poorer than they would have been if the American treasure had never been found. The very resource that promised endless prosperity had, in fact, guaranteed generations of decline.
And that brings us to a crucial question for our own time. Because this resource curse that destroyed 16th century Spain, it's not a thing of the past. This history forces us to look at the world today and ask, where is this exact same pattern playing out right now? The silver of the Americas made the world go round, but it left the Spanish Empire hollow. If this journey has offered you a new perspective, support our exploration by subscribing to Insight History HD. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next narrative.